Let's now move over to Canada, where Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won the country's election in a remarkable turnaround for the centre-left party. This comes after the Liberal Party were held well behind in the polls just 3 months ago, before Mr. Carney replaced Justin Trudeau as leader and U.S. President Trump upended relations and became the defining issue of the campaign. In his victory speech, Mark Carney commended the prevalence of democracy while outlining his plans for the country, especially as regards the country's relationship with America.
Canadians have opted for a razor-thin minority government, a virtual tie in the vote count. So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on leading this minority government.
We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration.
Still on the election, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, while delivering a concession speech, thanked residents of Canada for their support.
There's something tender about it. There's something hidden about it.
But first, we congratulate people from all political backgrounds on participating in the democratic process. And as I said, while we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts these tariffs behind us while protecting our sovereignty and the Canadian people.
Joining me on World Now to discuss Mark Carney's historic election win as broadcaster with Times Radio UK, Henry Bonso. Good to have you join us, Mr. Bonso. In a remarkable turnaround, Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won Canada's election. Did you see them pulling that off, considering they were trailing in the polls just months ago?
Not initially. I mean, let's think about just how angry people were with the leadership of Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party. They'd won 3 straight elections in a row. He was considered to be the Canadian Obama. His wife and the people around them, there was almost like an enchanted Camelot. But then, of course, you can stay in power too long, and his own people, particularly in the Parliamentary Party, began to move against him in October. The Canadians were not happy with the way he locked down the country during COVID. Also, they were not happy with rising prices, problems with the housing market, housing shortages, and they thought it was time for a change. And Pierre Poilievre was a bit Trumpist. He talked about Canada first, he talked about tax cuts, attacking diversity, equity and inclusion, the kind of things that Trump was doing south of the border. But when Trump was inaugurated and then started talking about Canada as a 51st state and Trudeau as Governor Trudeau as opposed to Prime Minister Trudeau, Canadians rallied round and they thought, no, we want to select somebody who we think is most unlike Trump, who we think has the calmness and maturity to steer us through difficult economic times. And who better than a clean skin, a person without a political background, a person who has been governor of the Canadian Central Bank and also the Bank of England here in the UK.
All right, but would you say it's yet to huru? Do you see Mark Carney able to form a majority government?
He probably will not form a majority government. I mean, in order to get across that threshold, you need to get 172 seats. And with 99% of the votes counted the last time I looked, he was on 168, and the Conservatives were 144. So he may have to rely on the Bloc Québécois, that's the Quebecian Nationalist Party, who last I saw had 23 seats. And with that, they will have a minority government. But together with the Québécois, they will have enough in order to govern.
But with conflicting, point of views and party ethos and all, how easily do you think they can work together? Wouldn't that be some form of clog in the wheel of progress of the administration?
It might do, but to govern is to choose. You have to work together on the things you agree on, and then, of course, try to minimize the damage where you disagree. And the price that the Bloc Québécois will try to exert on Carney and the Liberals is greater independence for Quebec, which, as you know, its capital is Montreal. It's very historic. In majority French-speaking population, they were the people who wanted to secede back in the day, but these days I think they agree for now they'll be part of this greater Canada. Because, as Mark Carney said in his victory speech, these were not idle threats from Trump. We are going to have to consider who we are as Canadians, fight our corner, make sure the United States does not divide us, weaken us, and try economically or otherwise to take us over. And as a result, they're reaching out to other parts of the world, the UK, of course, Commonwealth countries, the European Union, in order to make sure that they have alternative markets. They need to diversify. I mean, look at what this has done to Canadians. Canadians form the largest block of tourists into the United States. But month on month, from February to March, Canadian tourism into the States has dropped by 70%, and it's cratering all around the world. And this result, and Trump's impact on the Canadian elections, which, remember, were going to be a shoo-in, a landslide for the Conservatives, is a warning to all those right-wing populist leaders around the world who are up for election soon. Be very, very careful if you sail too close to Trump, because if his tariff regime is a disaster, you will get the blame and you will pay an electoral price in your domestic elections.
All right, then. Thank you very much for sharing these views with us. Broadcaster with Times Radio UK, Henry Bonsu. Thank you very much for your time on World Now.
Thank you. It was great to talk to you.